jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game. Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
Hello and welcome back to the 215 Scoop. We're back here once again after a couple of weeks break. Here to talk about the Sixers. The Sixers season just ended this past weekend. We got playoffs coming up this weekend coming up. We've got the play-in going on. So we got quite a bit to go into today. But Asher, how you doing?
Doing good. It feels kind of like I feel like we start to take the playoffs for granted now. Mm-hmm. It's been this is the Sixers' sixth consecutive year in the playoffs. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we've had home court advantage in every playoff series in the past 6 years in the first round. Yes. I think we've been a top 4 seed every year.
We've been a top 4 seed. The worst we ever did, I believe we were a 4 seed in 2020. I believe that was the worst we've done in the past 6 years. Other than that, we've been a 3 seed or a 1 seed. I don't remember us ever finishing second.
Yeah,
I remember.
You're right.
Yeah. So it kind of feels like we're living deja vu again. 3rd seed. Throw it back to 2018, playing the Nets in the first round. My mindset going into the playoffs right now, I'm kind of like, I'm excited, but like, again, I know Joel Embiid is on his way to win MVP, and James Harden pretty much just played the best he could have for the Sixers this year. Even despite that, I still have my concerns. I still am not sure. I'm kind of walking on eggshells with this team, kind of taking everything with a grain of salt, because something just tells me that this team just doesn't have what it takes. They're not the Celtics. They're not the Bucks, in my opinion. You know, even having the scoring leader and the assist leader in the league, maybe they do have enough. But again, I can't say for certain, so I'm kind of being a little bit more negative going into this, going into the playoffs. I don't know about you. What's your mindset going into the playoffs here?
I'm more optimistic than I thought I would be. I definitely don't blame you just after watching this team the past 5 playoffs and the way that they kind of crumble, especially in the second round or in that 2020 year, the sweep versus the Celtics. We don't historically do well against the Celtics in the playoffs, and that's assuming that's going to be our second round matchup. I mean, I don't blame you for feeling like wary about this team, but I definitely think that with Ben Simmons off the roster, the assist leader on the team, I mean, Harden's not a great playoff performer as we've seen in years past, but the pressure is kind of off him compared to other seasons where he's kind of collapsed in Houston and he was like really their only guy, their main guy. So, I mean, a lot of the pressure is on Joel, and Joel can handle the pressure in the playoffs. And
absolutely.
This is the best supporting cast that he's had around him is since that 2019 year.
Yeah, I will say that, and that's something I wanted to get into. I want to kind of, before we get into the playoffs and everything, I just wanted to touch on like comparing this Sixers team, you know, with Joel Embiid's supporting cast in comparison to past teams in his prime. So over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, outside of 2019, I think I agree with you. I think this is the best supporting cast. I think Anthony Melton was a huge addition. But then there's PJ Tucker, which is someone who I'm like really intrigued about, and I've been intrigued about all season. He's kind of like this guy who's kind of there for the mentality. Like how much of an impact do you think he's going to have in the playoffs? Because, and again, like he's been on 3 straight years where he's been on teams that made finals runs or like, you know, made it to the conference finals. So he's like kind of got that dog in him or something like that.
No, and he's a good veteran presence. I mean, he's been there before. I believe he won a championship with the Bucks, so he has championship experience. He was on a couple of those Harden teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, he was also on that Heat team, I believe, that went to the finals a couple years back and lost to the Lakers. So I believe he was on that team as well. I know he made it to like 2 or 3 straight finals or Western or conference finals matchups before we acquired him, which is why I was kind of excited. But his productivity just hasn't really been it. I mean, he's very hot and cold. But anyway, looking at some of these MVP odds, Joel Embiid finally this year looks like it's going to be his year to win MVP. He's currently at -1,000 to win the award. Looking at this, in years past, we've always seen like, oh, Joel Embiid just like come shy of winning MVP, past 2 years specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if that hurt his ego in the playoffs, and he kind of like lost confidence, and that kind of caused like he's always come up big, but again, there's times where he just turns over the ball too much, or like he's just falling over. Do you think if he wins, and he's probably going to, if he wins and when he wins MVP, I wonder if that's going to make an impact on his playoff performance and like how far he can lead and push this team in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily has an effect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that any of his struggles, and they've been like few and far between in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that any of those have kind of resulted from him like wishing that he won MVP. I think if anything, that kind of fires you up.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. But I was having a conversation with Buddy Jack last night, and we were talking about him. And we're like, he's on his way to win MVP. Could that change things as far as like the Sixers playoff performance? Because he and I were just talking. We are just like sitting there, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to get too excited. I mean, of course, I'm going to be hyped in the second round. I mean, this first round, I'm kind of like smooth sailing. I mean, if they lose, I'm going to be really pissed. But if they win, that's kind of what I'm expecting here. And we'll get into that in a minute. But again, I was just talking to my buddy, and I was just thinking about that. And I was wondering if you kind of had the same kind of opinion. Because I kind of think that maybe if Joel were to win MVP, that would kind of give him an ego boost, and he would just go off in the playoffs,
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely raises the urgency, I think, of the teammates around him, at least, like the supporting cast. It kind of like boosts the feeling of like, this is our year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Embiid's going crazy. Like, we need to like do what we can to make sure that he wins the championship.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I think the team will rally around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I agree with everything you just said. But now, let's get into this Nets series, and after that, we'll go through the rest of the NBA playoffs and kind of make our predictions from there. So first off, Nets, the 3-seeded Sixers play the 6-seed Nets. This series starts on Saturday at 1 p.m. Sixers are -900 to win the series, and the season series this year, Sixers swept it, won it 4-0. And yeah, so I have some keys to win this series for the Sixers. It's not going to be that tough to beat this Nets team. Again, they're completely transformed from the beginning of this year. They got new names like Mikal Bridges. So I have some keys here to winning the series, and that is containing Mikal Bridges because he's their biggest offensive weapon, and then get to the foul line because in the past, the Joel Embiid and I don't know who would Joel Embiid face on the Nets. I don't know what his matchup would be. Yeah, I read some statistics about that today. When Joel Embiid and Claxton face off, Claxton has only sent Joel Embiid to the line 4 times in the 2 matchups that they faced off. So that being said, I think given that we have James Harden and Joel Embiid, both guys who really use leverage, use the leverage to get to the free throw line and score most of their points doing that. I think that's a huge key to this series. You got to get to the foul line. You got to force fouls. You got to be a little bit more aggressive. You got to take charges, whatever you need to do. Just get to the foul line because that's kind of what Joel Embiid and James Harden thrive off of. And then the last thing is contain the Nets' versatile defense. They have a very switchy defense where they have a bunch of big guys where they can kind of slot them in anywhere, and they can play whatever. So the Sixers are going to really have to work with that, and that's one concern I have with Doc Rivers is he going to be able to adjust the offense to play against that defense because there's going to be a lot of switching, a lot of movement around, So yeah, there's just not going to be a consistent matchup all the time. So those are my three keys. Asher, what are your thoughts on those?
I agree. I think an important thing to point out is that the Sixers still really don't have a backup center, which is kind of crazy to say after
Yeah.
like the 6 years of the like Embiid in his prime era. We just haven't been able to put a consistent one behind him. So the Nets, however, also don't really have a backup center behind Claxton. So I mean, I really think both teams should just kind of shake hands and say, when Embiid and Claxton are off the floor, we'll just play like 5 guards and wings. Like, try to play a backup center. But I mean, the Nets are probably going to put in like Deron Sharp, and then we'll put in. I don't really know who Doc even trusts. Like Paul Reed minutes, maybe more likely Montrezl
I mean,
Harrell.
we're talking playoffs now. I mean, I would love to see Doc, put on B-ball Paul. I mean, last time we talked about B-ball Paul, our word somehow got to Doc, and he played B-ball, and B-ball Paul had a crazy game. Do you remember that a couple weeks back? Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping he does the same here. I've always liked B-ball Paul. I've never hated him. And I think he's a safe bet to play behind Joel Embiid. I mean, he's not as big, but he definitely can. He's definitely doable. Definitely behind Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I think the more realistic option, honestly, I think either Montrez is going to play because Doc just likes putting in like washed up big men in the playoffs.
I guess.
And I'm praying for this. I've been talking about taking PJ out of the starting lineup before the season even started. Take PJ out of the starting lineup, run him as the backup center. The Nets don't have a solid backup center. This is the perfect time to test if that lineup can work. Put in D'Anthony Melton into the starting lineup and see what happens.
I think that's a very, very good. I like that idea actually, because I think starting PJ, based on how he's played and his production. I mean, again, like we said all year, he's kind of there just for the mentality. He doesn't produce. So I definitely like the idea of taking him off the starting roster and putting in Melton. I agree with you absolutely. I just think that because PJ can lack in that production, I think we put a more of a producer in D'Anthony Melton in. I think it would definitely benefit this team. Plus, again, we don't have a backup center. We don't have a solid one. And PJ Tucker has the experience, and he's a big guy. He can play the position. So I agree with you on every aspect.
And I think that also kind of helps with your key of attacking the Nets defense with Melton in the starting lineup. Because PJ, he doesn't put the ball on the floor. He just kind of stands in the corner. He's good for defense, but, I mean, it's really going to slow the offense down, especially, like, with the Nets being able to switch. So, I mean, I think that putting a player like Melton in takes a lot of the pressure off of Harden, takes a lot of the pressure off of Maxey. I don't think that that's what Doc's going to do, but I think that would be the best course of action. So, anyway, I take it back to my keys now. Survive the Embiid-less minutes, figure out who's playing backup center, because we're going to have to figure it out fast. We're going to have to run with whoever that is for the rest of the playoffs. And the Embiid-less minutes are what has historically killed us in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, that's like the team's really big Achilles heel year after year.
Every single year. I mean, looking ahead, I mean, if we play a team like the Bucks or the Celtics, I mean, they'll have our asses out the door before we even get there. You know, if we don't figure out this backup center position, which I think you made a really fantastic point about the PJ Tucker thing. I think either P-Ball Paul or PJ Tucker will do as the backup center, but since PJ Tucker has experience, I think it'd definitely be more beneficial. But anyway, as far as this exact series, what is your prediction?
I think the Sixers should win it 4-0. The Nets really have no answer for Embiid. Again, Claxton's their only center, and doesn't really have a lot of muscle on him. He's long. He's a good perimeter defender. He's switchable, but that doesn't really help against Joel Embiid, who's 285 pounds and can just bully you in the post in the mid-range. But, I mean, I think there's going to be one game where Embiid is just not hitting those elbow jumpers, and Harden's probably going to turn the ball over like 6 times, and Mikal Bridges will score like 35. That was like probably like game 3, game 4 in Brooklyn. So
Yeah,
my official prediction, I'm going to say 4-1.
4-1. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be another 5-game series. I mean, again, it's deja vu all over again with this team where we win the first series in 4 or 5 games, and then we go into the second series, and then that's where our true test is.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree. I think the Sixers should be able to handle the Nets pretty easily in 5 games. Should be 4-0, but again, the Sixers are the Sixers, and it's playoff basketball, and they Kyle Bridges. So I agree. I think it'll be 4-1 Sixers win. Moving on to the rest of the NBA. We still have the play-in going on, so we might as well start there. So we still have a couple more playing games. I believe they're tonight and tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken.
There's
Both
2
tonight?
games. They're both tomorrow.
They're both tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
So the 2 games are we got the 10 seed Thunder going to Minnesota to face the Timberwolves for this. This is for the 8 seed. Winner goes on to play the Nuggets in the first round. And then in the East, we have the 10-seeded Bulls going to Miami to face the Heat. Winner goes on to be the 8 seed and play the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs. Looking at either of these matchups, let's start off with the Thunder and Timberwolves. Who do you think is going to move on to face the Nuggets in the first round?
I'm going to pick the Timberwolves, but I think the Thunder are actually a good value bet. I don't know what their odds are right now, but I assume the money line is somewhere in the plus 200, plus 300 range.
Let me look that up, actually.
All right. But the Timberwolves, I mean, it has been pretty well documented, the Rudy Gobert punch and then the Jaden McDaniels punching the wall and breaking his hand. So the vibes are low in Minnesota. They just blew a 15-point lead to the Lakers, something like that.
Yes.
So, and the Thunder.
Do you remember a year ago when they were in the play-in and they made it, and they were like jumping up and everything? Complete opposite now. Crazy how things change.
Yeah.
The Thunder. I believe I would take the Thunder as they're a very good value bet. I mean, I feel like they're kind of left on. Right now, Minnesota is favored by 4.5. The money line is 190 for Minnesota, minus 190, but OKC's at plus 160. I would take the plus 160 money line.
Okay. That's a little lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I thought it would be heavier odds, but I mean, the Thunder kind of showed out in their playing game against the Pelicans. So, granted, the Pelicans are injured as shit. So,
yeah, but so are the Timberwolves.
Honestly, I think I'd take the Thunder here. In my opinion, I would take the Thunder to make their first playoff appearance since what 2017? 20 was it 20? It was Russ's last. Was it 2017 last time they made the playoffs? Oh yeah! Oh my god, I forgot about that.
They lost first round that year.
Dude. That 2020 season was a fever dream. I mean, the Sixers were hot garbage. So, and plus it was COVID. The bubble was like everybody loved the bubble for some reason, but I wasn't a big fan. But anyway, with that being said, we got the Thunder. I have the Thunder moving on to face the Nuggets in the first round. You got the Timberwolves moving on. Okay. Yep. Looking in that Bulls Heat series, the Bulls just made a massive comeback against the Raptors last night. Well, I forget what the difference was. I believe it was like 18 points or something like that. Another comeback in that play-in round.
Yep, 19 points.
19 points. Yeah, so they're facing the Heat. Heat are the 7th seed. They just lost to the Hawks. I believe did the Hawks come from behind victory as well?
No, they were pretty much leading that game the whole time.
But anyway, I got the Heat winning. They're gonna go on and play the Bucks. That's what I got. I don't think the Bulls. I mean, again, very impressive what they did last night, but I think I'm gonna take the Heat here.
I'm taking the Bulls. I just think the Heat are like when you watch them play, it's like uninspiring. Maybe playoff Jimmy comes through in the play-in, but he didn't against Atlanta. And I mean, the team just doesn't have a lot of 3-point shooting. They just seem out of it. I mean, this season's Miami Heat is just like a disappointing year for them.
Yeah.
And I think the Bulls are kind of like riding a hotter streak at the moment. So I'm going to take the hot hand.
Okay. Right. And again, they do have that game from last night. They have the
Yeah.
momentum from that. So, I understand your pick, but I'm still going to go with the Heat here. Just more experienced team. I know they've been underwhelming, but I think Jimmy Butler will come up clutch for them. I mean, play up Jimmy. He's down to the wire. I mean, this is the season for them. So
Yep.
I think Jimmy Butler will step up, and I think they're going to beat the Bulls. So anyway, going into the playoffs, let's start off with the West. So we got the 1 seed Nuggets for me is against the Thunder. You have the Timberwolves, right?
Yeah. And I don't really think the opponent matters for them in that situation.
Yeah, I think it's Nuggets in 6 against the Thunder. I think the Thunder can pull off 2 against the Nuggets. I think the here's the weird thing about the West. The West to me, I look at the West and I'm like, who the hell is going to win that? Who's going to win the West? Because I don't trust the Nuggets. The Nuggets are fluky. They always flop in the playoffs. They're like the West version of the Sixers, pretty much.
True.
Can't do anything really. Pretty ironic how they have one of the best centers in the league as well on their team.
Yeah.
And then I look at all these other I like the Kings. I like the Kings, but they have no experience.
And no
I like
defense.
the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies, I feel like they have too much off-court shit going on with
Yeah.
John Morant. So I think the Suns have been kind of underwhelming this year. The Clippers are the Clippers. I can't trust the Clippers ever to do anything in the playoffs. And
True.
there's the Warriors, who are the 6th seed, who were kind of underwhelming, but they've been dealing with injuries on and off all year.
Yep.
And then you got the Lakers,
who
are
are
just
coming on strong, but like sucked at the beginning of the year.
exactly. So like I'm looking at the West right now, and I'm like, who the hell do I even? Who's gonna win this? Who's gonna win the West? It's bad.
Wild in the West this year.
It is. But anyway, back to this. I got the Nuggets in 6 over the Thunder to move on to the second round.
Okay. And let's see. I'm just gonna run through my West picks real quick, and you tell me what you agree with and what you don't. I have Phoenix over the Clippers. I have the Warriors beating the Kings, and I have the Lakers beating the Grizzlies. I think all those series probably go to 6, maybe 7.
Wait, can you run through your picks again? Sorry, I was pulling up a bracket because the bracket I had up wasn't really working. But anyway, you got
Phoenix, Golden State, and the Lakers.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna make a little bold prediction here. I know the Kings, as successful season they've had, being in the playoffs the first time in 17 years. I mean, they don't really have best hand dealt to them when they're facing the Golden State Warriors, the defending NBAs. But
yeah,
I think the Warriors still win that series, but I think the Kings push it to 7.
Okay.
I think the Kings push it to 7. I mean, maybe I'm just in love with the underdog story and how like they kind of remind me of my beloved Philadelphia Phillies, where they made the playoffs. They have a great culture there. It's just a contagious atmosphere. The fans are ecstatic. Fun fact: the first round playoff tickets for the Kings series are the most expensive playoff tickets ever. I forget the listing prices are, but they're listed as the most expensive playoff tickets ever.
Wow.
To go to the Kings
like NBA Finals.
Wait, let me look up. I'm sorry?
I said I would assume that probably excludes the finals. But I can definitely see that being like.
Yeah, I'm assuming it excludes the finals. I just was going through Instagram and I saw it. It was really interesting. But anyway, I agree with all your picks, except I think the Kings push it to 7 against the Warriors.
Okay. And then second round, I have Phoenix beating Denver, and I have the Warriors beating the Lakers.
Okay. Sorry. This is being annoying. 1 second, Ash. Sorry.
Okay.
Second round, you got who? Denver over Phoenix or Phoenix over Denver?
Suns over Denver.
Suns over. I agree with that. I think the Suns win in 5.
Okay. 5?
Mm-hmm.
I can see it happening. KD just hasn't played that many games with the team. I'm not sure how long it's going to take him to really settle in. I think he will at some point, but I don't know.
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying it's not even so much that the Suns are good. It's that the Nuggets just flop. They just
Okay.
flop.
Their full
I
season
just think they
fully
flop.
healthy. Their first season fully healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but anyway, second round matchup. You had Memphis and Golden State,
The Lakers and Golden State,
Lakers and Golden State.
which I think would be a very fun matchup. Curry, LeBron in the second round.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be a very fun matchup. But I think you have the Warriors. I have the Warriors in 4.
And 4. I think
4.
I'll say that the Suns take the series in 7, and then I'll take the Warriors in 5.
Okay. 7 against
7.
Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we can agree at 6. I think we can
6?
agree at 6
All right.
games.
Well,
I think.
all right. Yeah. We'll settle there.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave there at the Western Conference Finals. We'll come back to that later. Let's go on to the Eastern Conference. So, looking at the first round matchup, you got Milwaukee against Chicago. I got Milwaukee against Miami. I don't know if it really matters anyway. I have Milwaukee winning that series in 4.
Okay. Yeah. I think honestly Miami probably matches up better with Milwaukee. They might be able to steal the game. I think they probably sweep Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly see that. Next we have the Cavs and the Knicks. What you think of this? Cavs again, the last couple of years have been a young and upcoming team.
Yeah.
They got a nice culture. I love what they got going there. I think I got the Cavs here.
This was the toughest one for me. The Knicks have been coming on really strong. They had that 9. I think they might have pushed it to 10 games. They had at least a 9-game win streak, like towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. They're one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's I think really important in basketball. I did end up taking the Knicks in 7. I'm not confident in it. I think that series definitely gets pushed to 7 games though.
Yeah. I got Cleveland in 6.
Okay.
I got Cleveland in 6. That could definitely be a 7-game series, but I think the young talent that's on the Cavs is just too much for the Knicks. I don't know. Like, I feel bad for Knicks fans because they're finally having some success making it to the playoffs a couple years. I don't know if it's really going to go that far. Next, we got the Sixers and then the Nets. We already been through this. I got the Sixers in 5. You got the Sixers in 5 as well.
Yep.
Then we got the Celtics facing the Hawks. I got the Celtics in 4 here.
Agreed.
So that leaves us with I have Milwaukee against Cleveland. You have Milwaukee against the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really makes a difference. I got Milwaukee beating either of those teams in 5 or 6 games.
Okay. Honestly, I think they sweep the Knicks. I'll take Milwaukee in 4 again.
I'm taking Milwaukee in 6 against the Cavs.
Okay. Yeah, that's accurate if the Cavs make it.
Mm-hmm. And then we got once again Sixers, Celtics, second round. This is a tough one. I don't know. I think this game goes to 7 games. I think the series goes to 7 games for sure. This is a really tough call because I don't want to be too biased, but it's the Boston Celtics, defending Eastern Conference champions. I can't even make a decision here. Asher, what do you think?
I think I'm just trying to picture myself. The series goes to 7 games. It's the Sixers in the second round marching into Boston. I just have no confidence in us winning that game, but I can't, in good faith, pick the Boston Celtics to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly. Neither can I. I got the Sixers in 7. I'm going to take the Sixers in 7.
Yeah, agreed.
Sixers in 7. Joel Embiid going to hit a buzzer beater over Jason Tatum right in his freaking mitt.
Yep.
Dude, I swear, if that plays out just like that, I think I might shit my brains out. Dude, I would lose my stuff. I would lose my mind if that actually happened. Now we got down to the conference finals in both conferences. I got Phoenix, Golden State in the West, Milwaukee and us in the East. Do we agree on both?
Yep.
Okay.
Locks there.
Now, looking at the Western Conference Finals, breaking this down, this is a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals, if I remember correctly. No.
No, the Mavericks made it last year.
The Mavericks made it last year. That's who it was. Anyway, looking at this series, you got Phoenix and Golden State, both teams who have been dominant in the West in recent years. Who do you got this? This is kind of a toss-up for me. I mean, it kind of depends on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's kind of the X factor in this series, in my opinion.
That's true. And again, another fun, if these playoffs work out the way that we're predicting them, I mean, Curry playing against LeBron and then Kevin Durant, it's just fun.
Yeah, it's just going to be really entertaining basketball.
Yeah. So I think at this point, KD will really have reached his stride with the Suns. I mean, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant is just such a fantastic trio for the playoffs because they can all create their own shot. They'll all hit really difficult shots over you in the mid-range, which is really important towards the end of playoff games. I don't think the Warriors, even with Curry and Klay Thompson, have that same level of, like, closers.
Oh, not at all. Yeah.
So I think that makes the difference. I'll take the Suns in –
I got the Suns in 6.
6. I do as well, yeah.
Okay, so that's our Western Conference champions. We got the Phoenix Suns, and then here we go. We got the Sixers and the Bucks. Do we go that far to be that biased? And like, do you think the Sixers can beat the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals? That's like that. It's so hard with the Sixers. I think the Sixers, even though they're our favorite team, I think they're they're the hardest to predict in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. A lot of things can happen.
Let me hear your opinion. I got Milwaukee in 7.
Yeah. I mean, that's what my head tells me also. Milwaukee is just crazy stacked this year. Giannis is one of the only true, like, hard counters to Joel Embiid. And, I mean, we know that, you stop Embiid, you stop the Sixers. I don't trust Harden to, kind of take the series into his own hands. So if this is going into a clip for a YouTube short, disclaimer, I don't believe what I'm about to say. This is all just me speaking as a Sixers fan. I'll take the Sixers in 7.
Taking the Sixers in 7.
Yeah.
All right, that's very valid. I'm like, again, I've been very pessimistic about the Sixers pretty much all year. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just like this year, I'm just like I'm waiting till the second round to show any sort of optimism because again, I've been saying it all year. It's going to come down to 2 or 3 games in the second round of the playoffs. Those are the games that are going to define this entire season. That's why I haven't been optimistic because I'm not taking the regular season seriously. I'm not going to take this first round that seriously. It's the second round that's really going to matter. So, but anyway, I'm being more pessimistic, but I mean, honestly, you know what? I might change my pick because there seems to be something in the Philly air or the Philly water. Yeah. I mean, there's quite literally shit in the Philly water right now, or there was a few weeks back.
Yeah, we're clean.
But long story short, I think imagine the Sixers made the finals too. Dude,
yeah.
I might just have to do that just to follow the Philly trend. I got another Philly team going to the championship. But once again, they're going to lose.
Yeah,
I think the Suns beat us in 6.
Yeah,
I think that trio that you talked about is just too much for the Sixers. I don't think the Sixers they don't have near enough defense they can't even. I mean, while they are one of the best defensive teams in the league, I don't know if they have enough to stop that trio, especially if they're on like a tear. If they go on a tear and Kevin Durant really starts feeling himself.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about going up against him, Chris Paul, and that Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah.
Well, Booker.
Kevin Durant I think he played around 30 games this year. So, I mean, he was struggling with injuries. When he did play, he shot 55% field goal percentage, 40% from 3, and 92% from the line. So
that's just crazy.
Yeah,
he was the crazy efficiency.
First player with those lines ever. So, I mean, he's shooting at with unprecedented efficiency.
Isn't he getting old too? Isn't he upper 30s now too?
34, I think.
I think he's 34. Yeah.
Dude, think about that Sixers Suns matchup. Just try to picture who would be guarding those 3 guys. You put Jalen McDaniels on KD, I guess.
I don't know
who guarded.
PJ go on Ayton. Harden will probably go on
Booker? Yeah, I don't like that matchup.
Dude, it just looks ugly if the Sixers were to face off the Suns in the finals. I mean, honestly, as a Sixers fan, I'd be happy that we're there.
Yes.
Like
if the Sixers make the finals, I'd still be waiting for us to lose in the second round.
Yeah.
I would not believe it.
Yeah, exactly. But that should just about do it here at 2 and 5 Scoop. Thanks for tuning in. Our NBA Finals champions for this year are the Phoenix Suns. Again, we will be checking back in throughout the playoffs to see how these picks of ours have aged. And of course, if there's drastic changes, we might revisit after the first round and kind of remake our predictions. But again, anyway, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Hit up the TikTok, hit up the Twitter, hit up the Instagram. All of it's down in the bottom right corner at 2 and 5 Scoop PSM or just 2 and 5 Scoop on TikTok. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and let's go Sixers.